All right, we're going to talk about two-star cornerbacks on today's episode of For Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Jalen Ramsey trade buzz is increasing, and is Jaire Alexander staying in Green Bay after all, despite being connected to trade rumors over the last several months? We'll get to all of it. Let's start with the former, Jalen Ramsey, as he, I think, pretty heavily hinted at the possibility of getting traded. We'll get to that in a second as well. Also, Adam Schefter, which was aggregated here by Underdog NFL, basically said that Jalen Ramsey's trade market is stronger than people realize. The interest in him is real, and that a trade partner is likely to be identified over the next couple of weeks. And then Jalen Ramsey yesterday, May 27th, tweeted out the number 5, ... And why is that number significant? Well, you could have a bunch of theories. You could say, well, he wears number 5. Okay, that could be something, nothing, who knows. Well, also, 5 days from May 27th is June 1st. And June 1st is always a notable date because a lot of contracts post-June 1 become more tradable, and that includes Jalen Ramsey. If he's going to get traded by the Dolphins, it will almost certainly include a post-June 1st designation. So I think that is the more likely and compelling theory, that he's counting down the days until getting traded becomes at least a possibility. Now, does that mean he's going to be traded at midnight on June 2nd? Not necessarily, but it does become a lot more possible and plausible. Plus, if you add in the Adam Schefter report that a trade partner is going to be identified the next few weeks, the Dolphins, before the draft, are on record saying, yeah, we're going to try to find a trade for him. It sounds like a divorce is coming between Jalen Ramsey and the Miami Dolphins. And the reason why it'll be after June 1st is simple. If they traded him before June 1st, or before June 2nd, really, it would add an additional $8.5 million onto the cap for this year. I don't know his exact number for this year, but if they did it pre-June 1, it would be an additional $8.5 million. If it's post-June 1, it saves them almost $10 million. So pretty simple, just cap financial ramifications there. If they trade him post-June 1, save almost $10 million, move on from Jalen Ramsey, and you go ahead and call it a day. And it sounds like both sides are on board with a trade, even though I think initially Ramsey was fine with staying in Miami, but once the Dolphins went public, like, yeah, we're going to trade him, I think he's just like, okay, all right, I'll get on board, hopefully go to a better team. I think a few teams stand out. The Rams, Sean McVay's kind of, from what he's allowed to say, obviously he can't be like, yeah, we're going to go get that player when they're on another team, but he has not dismissed the Jalen Ramsey Rams reunion rumors whatsoever. In fact, he's embraced them, talked highly about Jalen Ramsey. The Vikings are an interesting one. I saw it was either Jason or Devin McCourty said that the Vikings should go trade for him. They could use one more corner to pair with, who's the guy they re-signed? Byron Murphy. Thank you, producer Colin. They don't really have that true number 2 guy. They have Isaiah Rodgers, but you could do better there. Ramsey certainly an upgrade. The Raiders, I don't know if they're going to contend, but they could use a corner. The Falcons are an interesting team. They've been pretty aggressive this offseason if they wanted to add a DB to pair with A.J. Terrell. And then the Chargers don't really have any corners to write home about. They kind of just patchwork it. So if they got Jalen Ramsey, that would certainly give them a true CB1. Which team do you guys think should trade for Jalen Ramsey? I tend to believe Schefter. I think there's going to be multiple suitors. I think teams are interested. He's maybe not at the peak of his powers, but he's still very, very good. 30 years old, so he's not ancient. Can still play at a high level for a few years. I expect him to get traded, and I do think it'll happen before training camp. Okay, Jaire Alexander, another player when healthy, is an elite cornerback in the NFL as well. The when healthy part is the key. There is a report out there that the Packers have offered a restructured contract for 2025, which I would guess is some level of a pay cut, maybe with built-in incentives to re-earn some of that money that he would be willing to forgive in a restructure with Green Bay. I'll translate this. To me, this means there's just not reasonable trades out there. And I kind of always balked at the idea, like, oh yeah, we'll just trade him. It's like, well, makes $24 million in terms of the cap hit, $18 million in cash flow or something like that, 17.5 when you look at the cash salary plus bonuses this year. That's not an easy contract to trade for anyone, much less a player who has missed a lot of football games. So I think the Packers want to get that cap hit down. They want to get that cash flow down because when he's good, obviously he's worth it, but he's missed 20 games over the past 2 years and 34 over the past 4. I think Jaire Alexander's options are pretty limited. He could hold out hope that a team would trade for him and take on his full contract, but that hasn't happened up to this date, and we're 4 months into the offseason. He could just say no to the Packers and hope they keep him at his current contract. He could ask to be released, which he'd get some guaranteed money, but no guarantee that a team would offer him a notable contract. He might have to sign for cheap. Or he could take a restructured deal, minor pay cut, potentially with incentives to earn that money back. I think that's a pretty good move if you're Jaire Alexander. I mean, I don't think he has a crazy amount of leverage with how much time he's missed. He missed 13 games in 21. He played mostly healthy in 22, but then in each of the last 2 years, he's missed 10 games. He's missed 10 or more games in 3 out of 4 years. Like, you're missing a lot of games, man. 34 games in a 4-year period, that's half of the games. Half. And 3 out of the 4, he's missed 10 or more. So if I'm Jaire Alexander and I'm making $17 million and the Packers are offering me 12 to just stick around a place I know, maybe some incentives to get back up to 15 or something like that, I think I would just take that. Now, if they're asking him to take like a $12 million pay cut, like, okay, you could just cut me because I'll take my guaranteed money or whatever cash flow is left, and I will just sign with the new team. So don't know what's being offered, but sounds like they have offered some kind of a restructured deal, and that might just be his best option at this point in time. Get healthy, get back on the field, play well, and if you do, you should be in line to get some more money in the future. But, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And a few months ago, it seemed pretty obvious, at least pretty likely that he was going to get traded. And, well, he didn't get traded before the draft, and that's always kind of a red flag. Like, team trying to take player, couldn't find a trade before the draft. Because typically when that's the case, the team wants to get capital for said draft. Well, that didn't happen. So what does that tell you? His trade value is not that good. That, if anything at all, it may not exist given the injuries and his contract. So, again, I think it's slim pickings for Jaire Alexander. Great player when he's healthy, but he's had one healthy season in 4 years. So I think he's going to have to take a pay cut. And that's what I expect him to do. I think he ends up staying in Green Bay. I know there's been some friction there between the two sides, but sometimes things change, and you just have to recognize what the situation at hand is, and I think that's where things sit right now. Now, which corner is better currently? R for Jalen Ramsey, A for Jaire Alexander. I would take Ramsey because he's been mostly healthy in his career, but Alexander, I think, is 1 or 2 years younger, so maybe you would take him if fully healthy. Let me know what you guys think. R for Ramsey, A for Alexander. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I saw Mike Vrabel called out Stephon Diggs. Might cover that tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Whatever's going around the NFL, we're going to break it down for you guys. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.